Have you ever felt like the world around you was moving in one direction, and yet something inside you was quietly tugging you elsewhere? Not louder, but deeper. Like a current beneath the surface of things. Like a whisper that never goes away. You may have lived your entire life doing what was expected, checking the boxes, wearing the smile, staying quiet about the ache that never fully left you. But somewhere in between the morning routines and the silent nights, a deeper knowing has been calling you. And lately, that knowing has gotten louder. You've likely asked yourself in quiet moments, why do I feel so different? You've wondered why you see things others don't, why you feel emotions others avoid, why your spirit refuses to be numb even when it would be easier. And if you're honest, there have been seasons where that difference felt more like a burden than a blessing. When you questioned your own soul for not just fitting in and getting on with it, but chosen one you already know. This feeling is not new. It's ancient. It's sacred. And you didn't find this video by accident. It found you. Because somewhere within you, the part that remembers what you came here for is stirring again. There's a reason you've always felt slightly out of place in rooms full of noise. There's a reason you can sense what's unspoken, even when no one says a word. There's a reason people come to you for guidance they can't explain, and a reason you feel so much even when you try to shut it all out. The world will never tell you this, but being different was never your flaw. It was the first clue, the first ripple of remembrance, the first sign that you are not here to follow the script, but to awaken something deeper. You see, there are souls on this earth that were never meant to blend in. Souls who were sent not to conform, but to transform. And if your spirit has been restless lately, if your dreams have been more vivid, if your silence has become louder than ever, it's because something sacred is shifting inside you. The signs have been building. The synchronicities too perfect to ignore. The moments of déjà vu that feel like messages. The numbers that keep repeating. The tears that fall for reasons you can't explain. And the sense, no matter how much you try to push it away, that your life is about to change in a way it never has before. Let me show you something your soul already knows, but your mind may have forgotten. The ache you carry, the isolation you've endured, the inner fire you've had to keep hidden for so long, none of it was wasted. It was preparation. It was alignment. It was the divine making room in you for what is about to be revealed through you. You are not behind. You are not too late. And you are most certainly not crazy. You are awakening. You may not have had the language for it until now. You may have doubted it when no one around you mirrored what you felt. But still, something deeper in you kept going. And that part, the part that couldn't give up, even when it wanted to, is the clearest sign of all. The chosen ones are not louder. They are truer. They are not showy. They are sacred. And if you're feeling a stirring, a calling, a shift you can't quite explain, you're right where you're meant to be. The soul remembers before the mind understands. Take a breath and remember. You've walked through things most people couldn't bear. You've held space for others while silently starving for someone to hold space for you. You've prayed without words. You've grown in the dark. And still, you rise. That's not coincidence. That's calling. And if the world couldn't see you before, it's only because the divine was still shaping you in secret. But now the veil is lifting. Now the moment is arriving. And now, you are being remembered by the very universe that sent you. Chosen one, if something in you feels cracked open by these words, mark this moment, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. Comment a sacred number below, 333 if you're waking up, 444 if you're in the middle of transition, 777 if you feel a shift coming, or 999 if you know it's time to let go of something. This is your sign. This is your confirmation. This is not just content. This is a divine conversation. And what comes next will remind you why you were chosen. There comes a time in every chosen one's life when nothing fits anymore. Not the job that once gave you purpose, not the people who once gave you comfort, not even the dreams you once held so close. It's as if your inner world begins to unravel, but no one around you sees the threads falling apart. They think you're fine. You look fine. But inside, there's a storm you can't explain. Something is shifting, and no matter how much you try to hold on, you can feel that the life you once built is quietly dissolving. It's not falling apart out of cruelty. It's being restructured by destiny. And even though it feels like loss, it's actually alignment. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The world doesn't teach us to listen to restlessness. It teaches us to fix it, to medicate it, to pray it away, to run from it in the form of distractions. But the soul doesn't stir without a reason. The soul doesn't ache without an assignment. And if you've been feeling like something inside of you is reaching for something you can't name yet, it's because the season of remembering has begun. Restlessness is the sacred alarm clock for those who have forgotten their divine assignment. The world around you may still look the same, but your inner world knows something is ending and something greater is beginning. You might not know where this path is leading, and that's okay. What matters is that you feel the pull. You sense the old ways no longer serve you. You feel tired in places that sleep can't touch. You hear a quiet voice inside whispering that the life you've been living is not the life you were born to lead. And that voice, no matter how small, is your guide. Trust it. Even when your mind resists, even when others don't understand, especially then, because what you're going through isn't confusion, it's awakening. The pain you feel isn't failure, it's refinement. The breakdowns, the disinterest in what used to excite you, the sudden desire to be alone more often, the intuitive nudges you can't ignore, these are not coincidences. They are the fingerprints of transformation. They are your soul rising to the surface after years of being silenced. And now that you've tasted that shift, you can never go back. You may be tempted to explain this to others, to ask for validation or support, to find someone else who can tell you what's happening. But the truth is, most people won't understand. Not because they don't love you, but because this journey isn't for everyone. It's for those who have been marked in silence, for those who carry light in their bones and fire in their veins, for those who feel homesick in a world that worships noise and performance. You are not too much. You are not making things up. You are not broken. You are being activated. Restlessness is the divine language of movement. It doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in sensation, in energy, in the quiet inner tug that tells you it's time to leave what you've outgrown. And this leaving doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like silence, like boundaries, like not laughing at what you used to, like longing for depth when everyone else is satisfied with the surface. These are the early signs, the sacred symptoms of awakening. You are not meant to stay in the life that no longer fits. The discomfort you feel isn't there to torture you, it's there to move you, to lift you, to shake loose the pieces of your soul that settled for survival when you were meant for divine expression. Don't ignore it. Don't shame it. Honor it. Because that ache is the gateway. That ache is the map. That ache is your soul saying, we're not done yet. So if everything around you feels uncertain, if you feel like you're standing in the middle of a bridge between who you were and who you're becoming, breathe. You're not alone. You're not late. You're not lost. You're in the in-between, and the in-between is sacred ground. It's where the false falls away and the true begins to take form. Let the old fall. Let the restlessness rise. Let your soul speak louder than your fear. The chosen ones are often awakened through divine discontent. What once felt safe now feels suffocating. What once inspired now feels empty. And the things that used to distract you now feel like noise. That is how you know you're not who you used to be. And that is good. That is holy. That is how the new life begins. Not with clarity, but with unrest. Not with certainty, but with fire. Not with answers, but with the courage to ask, what else is possible? So take a breath and lean into the mystery. Don't rush to figure it all out. Don't shrink just to stay comfortable. Instead, stand in the restlessness with open hands and say, I'm ready. Not for more of the same, but for what my soul came here to remember. Because, chosen one, the restlessness you feel is not your enemy. It is your signal. And the fact that you can feel it means the next chapter is already finding you. Close your eyes for a moment and travel back in time, not to the events of your childhood, but to the feeling of it. Do you remember sensing things others couldn't name? Do you remember the weight of rooms, the sound behind the sound, the ache in people's voices, even when their faces were smiling? You didn't have the words for it then, but your soul knew. You were always watching, always absorbing, always listening, not just to what was said, but to what was unspoken. That's not imagination. That's spiritual sensitivity. That's the mark of a soul that came in carrying more than a name. You see, chosen one, your difference didn't start in adulthood. It didn't begin with the losses or the awakenings or the aching pull for purpose. It began in the soft silence of childhood, when you noticed things other kids didn't, when you asked questions that adults avoided, when you cried at scenes in movies no one else flinched at. You were always tuned into something deeper, not better, just different. But the world around you didn't know how to hold that kind of depth. So it called you shy. It called you too quiet, too intense, too much. Or maybe worst of all, it didn't call you anything at all. It just ignored what it couldn't understand. That silence, the silence of being unseen, is where many chosen ones begin to forget. Forget their magic. Forget their light. Forget the divine contract they carried in their bones. Because it's hard to keep shining when everyone around you is afraid of the fire. So you dimmed, you adapted, you fit yourself into boxes that never quite held you. You learned how to blend in, even when your soul wanted to rise. But even in the quietest moments of suppression, the clues were still there. You weren't just a sensitive child. You were a seer in training. You weren't just emotional. You were an intuitive soul navigating a dense world. When the world called you dramatic, it was because you felt energy, as if it were electricity. When it called you distracted, it was because your imagination lived in dimensions beyond what others could see. When it called you odd, it was because you were carrying codes, memories, and knowing far older than your years. And every time you felt like an outsider, it wasn't because you didn't belong. It was because you were remembering something sacred that hadn't yet taken form. Do you remember those moments of strange stillness as a child? The times you sat alone, staring at the sky, or curled in your bed, sensing something big without knowing what it was? That wasn't loneliness. That was presence. That was your soul reminding you there was more. And every time you walked away from conflict because something in you refused to fight with small energy, every time you broke down at the suffering of someone else, every time you felt joy in places no one else noticed, those were clues. Clues that you were born for more than survival. Clues that you were sent to this world not to become it, but to help awaken it. Many chosen ones were never told they were gifted. They were told they were difficult, or weird, or too quiet. And so they grew up doubting what was actually divine. But now, the voice that was silenced is rising again. The dreams that were dismissed are knocking again. The visions that were laughed at are returning, not as fantasies, but as directions. And you're beginning to see that all along, the signs were there. You were never the problem. You were the portal. A living doorway between what is and what could be. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But it is in that acceptance of your inner child, of your emotional depth, of your sensitivity, that your power returns. Because when you stop seeing your childhood differences as damage, you begin to see them as divine. And from that place, you don't just heal, you remember. You remember that you came here carrying light, that you came here to whisper truth into noise, that you came here knowing who you were, even if the world forgot. So if you've spent decades trying to fit in, trying to shrink your spirit into roles that feel too small, trying to silence your knowing so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable, let that end now. Let the remembering begin. You are not here to relive the pain of being misunderstood. You are here to reframe it, to reclaim it, to rise through it. Because what was once your wound is now your wisdom. And the child who was overlooked is now the soul who sees clearly. You were chosen, not because you were perfect, but because you were perceptive. And that perception is not gone. It is waiting for you to stop dismissing it, waiting for you to see that your childhood wasn't random, it was prophetic. Every tear, every strange dream, every moment of being too much was preparation for this moment, this return, this awakening. You've carried the clues all along. Now it's time to read them with new eyes. There's a quiet fear that lingers in the hearts of many chosen ones. The fear that somehow they've missed it. That the purpose they were born for slipped through their fingers while they were too busy surviving. That the calling they once felt has grown faint. That they've taken too long to heal, too long to figure it out, too long to become who they were meant to be. And now, as the years pass and the world feels louder and faster, that fear whispers, "It's too late." But let me tell you something sacred. Nothing is lost. Nothing that is truly meant for your soul can miss you. Not love, not purpose, not your divine timeline. Chosen one, you are not late. You are in the unfolding. The divine has never measured time the way the world does. The world rushes. The divine prepares. And your preparation has taken time because your purpose requires depth. The seasons you thought were detours were actually construction sites. The relationships you mourned were releasing you from contracts that had expired. The waiting wasn't punishment, it was calibration. The silence wasn't absence, it was sacred echo. And now, the time you feared was wasted is being woven into something holy. You see, midlife is not the end, it's the return, the moment when all the fragmented parts of you start to gather, the moment when the illusions lose their power and the truth begins to rise. It's when the ache becomes undeniable, when the distractions stop working, when the soul begins to push through everything you tried to bury it beneath. It's not a breakdown, it's a breaking open, and it is right on time. Carl Jung wrote, "Thoroughly unprepared, we take the step into the afternoon of life." But what he also understood is that the afternoon is where the gold is hidden. It's where the mask falls off. It's where the ego gets quiet and the soul gets louder. This is not the season to fear. This is the season to embrace. Because when you arrive at this point, tired, wondering if it's too late, doubting if you still matter, that is the exact moment your real life begins. The one you were born to live, not the one you were taught to chase. You were never meant to bloom early. You were meant to bloom deeply. And deep blooming requires deep roots. That's why the soil of your past was stirred the way it was. That's why you didn't get what you wanted when you thought you needed it. That's why the doors that looked perfect slammed shut. Because the divine wasn't preparing you for a moment. It was preparing you for a mission. And missions take time, especially the sacred ones. You may feel like others have passed you by, that their lives look more stable, more predictable, more polished. But what they built early may not last long. And what you've been building in secret is about to become your sanctuary. You didn't miss the boat. You are the boat. You didn't lose your chance. You are the chance. And everything you've experienced has been shaping you, not delaying you. The timeline that matters is not linear. It's sacred, and sacred things take time. Every night you cried without answers was planting something in you. Every job you took just to survive was refining your resilience. Every heartbreak taught you what love isn't, so you can recognize what it truly is. Every time you stayed when you should have left, or left when you weren't sure, it all made you more human, more real, more ready. You didn't miss it. You were learning how to hold it. Because the magnitude of your calling requires a foundation that won't collapse under pressure, and that's what this season has built in you. There is no shame in arriving late by the world's clock, because you're arriving right on time by divine design. The delay was never a denial, it was protection, it was sacred pacing. It was heaven saying, "Not yet, beloved. There's more we must prepare in you." And now, that preparation is coming full circle. You're not behind, you're aligned. And the signs will start showing themselves. People, opportunities, confirmations, clarity. Not all at once, but enough to remind you that you didn't miss it. You were being led to it all along. So take this breath, not in regret, but in reverence. Your path wasn't linear because your soul isn't ordinary. You're not here to meet the world's expectations. You're here to awaken it. And that kind of journey bends time, shifts seasons, and breaks the rules of logic. You are not off course. You are on sacred ground. And everything that didn't happen yet is still unfolding, not in delay, but in divine timing. Chosen one, you're not too late. You're just beginning. There is a kind of silence that doesn't come from peace. It comes from preparation. It's the silence of becoming, the silence that arrives when everything you once clung to begins to fall away, when friends fade, when routines collapse, when your name is no longer called and your presence no longer required. It feels like exile. It feels like invisibility. But it is neither. It is sanctuary. It is sacred pause. It is the hand of the divine pulling you inward, not to punish you, but to remake you. You were not abandoned. You were being hidden. And chosen one, that hiding was holy. We're taught to fear stillness, to fill the quiet, to keep moving. But the divine doesn't speak in the noise. The divine whispers in the waiting. And if you found yourself in a season where everything has slowed, where your voice feels silenced and your gifts unseen, know this: you are not in a void. You are in a womb. The soul does not grow in chaos. It grows in concealment. And right now, something ancient is being rewired in you. Something sacred is taking shape. Do not mistake this silence for punishment. It is preparation. You've walked away from jobs, people, and paths that no longer matched your frequency. You've been stripped of what was false so what is true can rise. And though it hurts, it's not cruelty, it's clarity. The friendships that ended were not rejections, they were releases. The plans that failed were not delays, they were directions. You've been put in a place where no one else can reach you, so you can finally hear the sound of your own soul again. There are years that ask questions and years that answer them. And this has been a year of stripping, of solitude, of silence so loud it echoed through your bones. But what you didn't see was the rearranging, the hidden roots stretching beneath the surface, the healing that required no audience, the becoming that had to happen in the dark, like the seed beneath the soil, like the chrysalis before the wing, like the sacred cave before the rebirth. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. The chosen ones are not launched into the world with fanfare. They are birthed in silence, like Moses hidden in the reeds, like David left in the fields, like every soul that came to shift the world. They were shaped away from it first. That is what you've been walking through. Not isolation, but initiation. Not punishment, but positioning. And even if no one else sees what's happening, the divine does. Your silence has been heard in heaven, and maybe you've cried out, asking why no one checks on you anymore, why the love you gave hasn't returned, why the doors you prayed for stayed closed. Maybe you've wondered if you did something wrong, but the truth is, you've been set apart for something that requires a different kind of soil. And that soil cannot be found in constant validation, in surface relationships, or in the noise of performance. It can only be found in sacred stillness, in soul solitude, in the silence where only the voice of God or source or spirit can reach. So if you're in a season where everything feels stripped away, let yourself be still. Let yourself be quiet. Let yourself feel the ache, not as absence, but as arrangement. Because what is growing in you now needs space, needs breath, needs room to take root before it rises. The divine does not rush the chosen ones. It refines them. It recalibrates them. It breaks every false attachment so that when the time comes to rise, nothing can pull them back into who they used to be. You may not know it yet, but this silence is your sanctuary. It's where your name is being whispered into the spirit realm. It's where your mission is being clarified. It's where your soul is being set on fire, not for the world, but for truth, for alignment, for the calling that was written in you before you had a name. This isn't emptiness. This is emergence, the sacred unraveling before the sacred remembering. One day soon you will look back and bless this silence. You will see that it wasn't empty. It was full of the voice you almost forgot you had, full of the knowing that you were afraid to trust, full of the guidance that only came once the world grew quiet. So breathe now, in this space. Trust now, in this quiet. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. And the silence you're walking through is not the end of your story. It's the sacred pause before your rising. You've probably been told more than once that you're too much, too deep, too emotional, too intense. You walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without even trying. You speak, and people either lean in with awe or pull back with discomfort. And for a long time, you may have believed that was your flaw. You learned to shrink, to soften your light, to silence your fire just enough to stay accepted. But chosen one, let me tell you the truth that the world never dared to say out loud. You were never too much. You were just carrying a frequency too high for most to handle. And that is not a mistake. That is the evidence of who you are. You see, people who are not ready to face their own shadows will always feel threatened by those who walk in truth. The light in you reveals what others have tried to keep hidden. And even when you are not trying to challenge or confront anyone, your very presence becomes a mirror. A mirror that reflects authenticity, depth, and divine intensity. And mirrors can be uncomfortable. So they'll call you names, say you're too sensitive, too dramatic, too serious, but what they really mean is, they don't know how to carry what you've always held with grace. There is a weight to being chosen. A heaviness that can't be shared with just anyone. You've likely felt alone, not because you lack love, but because you carry something sacred that not everyone is meant to walk beside. And when your energy is that rare, it becomes magnetizing for the broken and repelling for the false. That's why you've seen people drawn to you only to disappear. That's why your connections either burn bright or fall apart without warning. It's not you. It's your light, and your light has a purpose far bigger than comfort. Being lit from within means you carry fire in your bones. It means your intuition is strong, your vision sharp, your truth uncompromising. It means you feel deeply, sense subtly, and speak boldly. And in a world addicted to surface-level connections and filtered masks, that intensity can feel foreign. But don't you dare dim. Don't you dare dilute your truth just to stay palatable. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to stir souls. You've probably noticed that the more you step into your authentic self, the more rejection you face. That's no accident. The path of the chosen one is carved in solitude. Because before you are revealed to the world, you must become untouchable to its opinions. That's the cost of carrying sacred fire. But with that fire comes discernment, comes protection, comes clarity. You are not for everyone, and you were never meant to be. You are for the few who recognize the divine pulse in your presence. The loneliness you felt is real. It's not weakness. It's part of the refining. It's the evidence that you've outgrown environments that could no longer contain you. And it hurts. It's okay to admit that. But it's also confirmation that your energy is evolving, that your soul is remembering, that you no longer tolerate what dishonors your spirit. And that is power. You are not intense because you're broken. You are intense because you are tuned in, because you feel the world differently, because you see through the veil. You are the storm before the healing, the disruption before the awakening. You don't need to become more digestible. You need to become more grounded in who you are, because what once made you feel alien will soon be the exact reason others are drawn to your light. Don't mistake the pain of being misunderstood as proof you should change. It is proof that you carry something rare. The people who rejected you weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the mirror you held up. And that mirror isn't your burden. It's your gift. When you stop trying to explain your depth to those committed to the shallow, you make room for those who've been searching for your kind of truth. So walk tall in your energy. Hold steady in your fire. The world may not understand you yet, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're ahead. And those who are meant to walk beside you will not just tolerate your intensity. They will cherish it. They will recognize it, because their souls will be burning in the same divine flame. You are not too much. You are what this world has waited for. And your presence is not an accident. It is an answer. Let it burn. Let it lead. Let it light the way for those who have forgotten what real even feels like. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to awaken. And your light is not a burden. It's a blessing the world just hasn't caught up with yet. There is a voice inside you that has never raised itself. It doesn't argue. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It hums like a thread through your chest. And though the world taught you to override it, distract from it, question it, it never left you. That quiet knowing, that sacred intuition, that inner compass, it has been there all along, guiding you through storms you didn't even have the language to name. You've heard it in moments of stillness, felt it in the pit of your stomach when something just wasn't right, seen it confirmed in the signs, the dreams, the numbers that appeared when your logic tried to talk you out of trusting your soul. The world rewards logic and punishes knowing. It tells you to prove, to plan, to produce, but the path of the chosen one is different. It begins with listening, not outwardly, but inwardly. It's not about certainty. It's about resonance. It's about following that vibration in your chest that pulses when something is meant for you. And when you ignore it, you know. You feel the dissonance. You feel the ache of being misaligned, because your soul doesn't argue. It simply withdraws when you abandon yourself. Chosen one, it's time to reclaim your inner knowing. You don't need more information. You need remembrance. You need to come home to the part of you that never forgot. The part that knew before the world taught you to doubt. The part that said yes before your mind calculated the risk. That compass is not broken. It's just been buried beneath the noise. And now, in this sacred season of your life, it is calling again. You've felt it in the dreams that make no sense to anyone else, in the gut feelings that turned out to be right, in the way your energy shifts around certain people, in the way your body tightens before your mouth speaks. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. You are not just intuitive. You are wired to receive divine instruction in ways that can't be measured by formulas. And every time you trust it, even a little, something opens, something shifts, something aligns. But trusting that voice takes courage. Because sometimes it will tell you to walk away from what everyone else is chasing. Sometimes it will lead you down paths that look lonely. Sometimes it will tell you to rest when the world says hustle. To say no when everyone expects a yes. To stay silent when others scream. And you will doubt yourself. You will fear you're being foolish. But that's the price of walking by faith, not sight. And that's the path of the chosen one. There's a reason you've always felt things before they happened. A reason you pick up on energy shifts in a room. A reason certain people drain you and others ignite you. You are not crazy. You are not paranoid. You are perceiving. You are tuned to a frequency most people have forgotten, and that tuning is not weakness. It's spiritual intelligence. It's the sacred code that lets you navigate this world by inner light, not outer noise. Viktor Frankl once said, "What is to give light must endure burning." And trusting your inner compass often feels like that, like burning away all the false paths, the false expectations, the false voices, until only truth remains. But that truth is your power. It is the direction that leads you not just to clarity, but to peace. Because when you follow your own compass, you don't need validation. You don't need applause. You walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are guided. So if you've been second-guessing yourself, if you've been asking others to confirm what your spirit already told you, stop, breathe, listen. The answers are not out there. They're in here, in the space between your breaths, in the feeling that rises before your mind has a chance to explain it away. That is your compass. That is your alignment. That is the voice of the sacred within you, and it has never lied. It's time to stop asking for permission to trust yourself. You are not too emotional. You are not too spiritual. You are not too much. You are precisely attuned to the rhythm of your calling. And when you start walking by that rhythm, everything changes. Your pace, your peace, your power, the doors that open, the people who arrive, the energy that surrounds you. It all begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because you followed the path that was already yours. This is your season to remember what you knew before the world got loud, to feel what your body has always whispered, to honor the truth that rises in your chest, even when your mind can't justify it. The compass has always been there. You just needed to stop long enough to feel it. And now that you do, don't ever let it go. Don't ever silence it again. Because it is not just your guide. It is your proof that you were never lost. You were always being led. There is a moment in every chosen one's life when something shifts, not in the world, but in the soul. It doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives like a deep breath after a long silence, like a sense of release you didn't expect. It's the moment when the struggle no longer feels necessary, when the proving fades, when the trying becomes stillness. And without warning, you just know something has ended. Something invisible, yet undeniable. You can't go back, not because you're bitter, but because the chapter has closed in your spirit, the door is sealed. And in that strange peace, the sky begins to open. You see, the end doesn't always look like disaster. Sometimes it looks like quiet acceptance, like no longer forcing what used to fit, like realizing the role you played for so long has finally served its purpose. And though your mind may resist, your soul exhales. Because the contract is complete, the cycle fulfilled, the work in that space is done. This is what it feels like when you're being recalled. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by the world, but by the divine. You are being summoned, not to escape, but to emerge. And the grief you feel isn't weakness. It's reverence for all you've outgrown. For years you carried people, places, and identities that shaped you. You fought battles others didn't see. You stayed in rooms long after the light left. But now the weight no longer rests on your shoulders. The fire you needed to prove yourself has softened, and the longing that once pulled you back into old spaces has finally gone quiet. You're not abandoning anything. You're obeying the sacred whisper that says it's time. And that whisper doesn't come from ego. It comes from eternity. You don't need to explain this shift to anyone. Most won't understand. Not because they're unkind, but because they haven't heard their own recall yet. They're still in their cycle, still learning through experience what you've already learned through surrender. Let them be where they are, and trust where you are going. Because the path ahead is not about proving your worth, it's about embodying your wisdom. And that begins with letting go of what's complete, even when it still looks beautiful on the outside. The soul knows when the assignment ends. It stops fighting, it stops chasing, it stops clinging. You may feel tired, but it's not exhaustion. It's the release of what no longer needs to be carried. You may feel a strange stillness, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is aligning. And that stillness is sacred. It is the pause between breath and word. It is the place between the last page and the new chapter. It is the clearing before the rising. If you're sensing this shift, you're not imagining it. You're not making it up. You're being moved by something larger than logic. The divine timing is speaking. The gate is opening. And when the sky opens, it doesn't ask for your credentials. It asks for your obedience. It asks for your willingness to walk away from what is no longer yours. Not because it was bad, but because you have changed. Because your energy can no longer be poured into what isn't aligned. Because your soul has finished what it came to do in that space. This exit is not rejection. It's revelation. It's not escape. It's elevation. You are being called upward, inward, forward, and the signs are everywhere. Less desire to explain yourself, more peace in solitude, more sensitivity to energy, more resonance with silence than noise. This is the language of ascension. This is what it feels like when the veil begins to lift. And while others may still see you as the person you used to be, you know something has changed. Not on the surface, but in the structure. Not in appearance, but in alignment. So honor the recall. Don't rush it. Don't doubt it. You don't need to know what comes next. You just need to say yes to the knowing. The sky has opened. The contract is complete. And now, it's time to walk not with fear, but with reverence. Not with urgency, but with quiet trust. Because what lies ahead doesn't require the version of you who had to fight for survival. It requires the version of you who remembers why they came here in the first place. This is not an ending. It is a homecoming. And though you may feel like you're walking into the unknown, your soul already recognizes the terrain. So let go, release, bow with gratitude for what was, and then rise. Because when the sky opens, you don't need to run. You just need to remember. The gate is before you, and your name is being called. Walk through. You're right on time. There will come a time when the same ones who overlooked you will begin to look for you. Not because you owe them anything, but because your silence became your message. Because your absence became your boundary. And because the version of you they once knew, the one who stayed, who explained, who gave and waited and hoped, has quietly disappeared. You didn't announce your departure. You didn't shout about your healing. You simply stopped shrinking. And in that stillness, something eternal began to rise. You see, when a chosen one awakens, they become unreachable to those still committed to illusion. It's not arrogance, it's ascension. You've outgrown the energetic contracts that once tethered you to pain. And as your frequency rises, the same rooms that once felt like home now feel too small. The people who once claimed to love you can no longer find your soul. Because your soul has moved beyond the patterns that kept you repeating cycles. The butterfly does not return to the cocoon, and neither will you. This shift is not a performance. It is a sacred disappearance. You didn't walk away in bitterness. You evolved in silence. You healed in secret. You listened to the quiet voice within that said, "There's more for you than this." And now, when they search for the old version of you, the one they could manipulate, the one who doubted herself, the one who kept proving her worth through pain, they won't find her. Because she no longer exists. There's grief in this, a holy kind of grief. Because even though you're rising, you remember. You remember the nights you stayed when you knew you should have left. You remember the effort, the prayers, the tears. You remember the version of you who kept pouring into empty vessels, and still you chose to grow. Still, you chose to leave, not with anger but with peace, not to punish anyone but to protect the light you almost lost inside yourself. And now, the light that once flickered is burning steady. You don't need to prove it anymore. You don't need to be seen to feel valid. You are no longer available to conversations that drain your spirit. You are no longer answering calls from energy that pulled you backward. You are no longer explaining what your soul has already made peace with. That is power. That is alignment. That is the true evidence of transformation. The ones who dismissed you will sense the shift before they understand it. They will feel your absence in places where they once expected your presence. They will wonder why your name no longer circles in their stories, why your light no longer warms their shadows. But by then, it will be too late. Because the door is closed. Because you listened. Because you chose yourself, and in doing so, you chose your calling. You chose your peace. You chose to finally believe that you were never meant to stay in places that could not see the sacred in you. There is a divine finality to this part of your journey, not because you hate anyone, but because your soul has heard the recall and you answered it. You don't belong to the old cycles. You don't belong to who you used to be. And now, your rising is not just a choice, it is your responsibility. Because others will follow. Others will watch your silence and realize it is not absence, but ascension. That walking away was not weakness, but wisdom. That the disappearing was not retreat, but revelation. You've become the butterfly they can't catch, the light they can't dim, the portal they can't re-enter. And though they may look for you in old places, they will not find you there. Because you no longer live in the timelines they chose. You no longer echo the stories they wrote. You are on a higher frequency, a deeper path, a sacred return. So don't explain. Don't go back. Don't soften your light to make them comfortable. What you've become is the proof that choosing yourself was always the divine plan. And what they didn't value when it was near, they will long for when it is gone. Let them. Let the silence speak. Let your rising preach. Let the old fall away without needing to rescue it. Because the time of waiting for recognition is over. The time of staying to be chosen is over. You have been chosen by something higher, and that is enough. They'll look for you, and you'll be gone. Not in anger, not in pride, but in purpose. Because what's ahead is too sacred to drag the past with you, and who you are now is too aligned to carry what no longer matches your frequency. Let them search, let them wonder, let them feel the shift. You've answered the call, and now your only task is to rise. Chosen one, if you've made it this far, take a breath, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Let the breath rise into your chest and fall into your belly like the truth that it is. You were never forgotten. Not by the divine, not by destiny, not by the reason you were born. The ache you felt all these years, the silence you've endured, the dreams you had to bury beneath responsibility, survival, heartbreak, that was not the end. That was the forming. That was the consecration. And now the signs are rising like morning light, one by one, within you. Everything you've heard in this message wasn't new information. It was ancient remembrance, a soul recall, a sacred echo. You didn't just hear it, you felt it. And that's how you know it's real. You didn't force this moment. It found you. Because the divine never forgets where it plants its seeds, and you, beloved, have always carried the codes of awakening. That's why your life has been so layered, so intense, so tender. The shaping of a chosen one is never ordinary. It breaks and burns and bends until nothing false is left. But once the breaking is done, what remains is holy. So let the shift settle now. Let what no longer fits fall away. Let the urgency to explain yourself dissolve. Let the need to be seen by the wrong eyes fade. You don't need to fight anymore. You don't need to push. What is yours will arrive when you are aligned with it. Your job is not to strive. Your job is to stay true, to remember, to return. Because the you that the divine has been preparing is the you that will change lives, not through effort, but through presence. You were called here to remember that the delay was divine, that the pain was preparation, that the silence was sacred. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not disqualified. You are being qualified by the very roads that tried to break you. And now you are standing at the threshold of something you've longed for in your bones, but didn't have the words for. Peace, purpose, power, not over others, but within yourself. So breathe again. Feel the truth settle into your bones. You are no longer lost. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You were chosen before the foundation of this lifetime. And everything that has happened, from the betrayal to the awakening, from the loneliness to the call, is proof that your soul never stopped rising. Even when you forgot, even when you tried to give up, even when you doubted everything, you kept going. And that alone means you're ready. The world needs you now, not as another voice of noise, but as a presence of truth, as a mirror of depth, as a guide for the weary. You don't need to speak loud to be heard. You don't need to shine bright to be seen. You just need to walk in alignment with what you now know, with what you now are. The world is full of voices, but few carry vibration. Yours does. Your energy shifts rooms. Your silence carries prophecy. Your path is a permission slip for others to rise. So if this video found you in a quiet moment, know that it wasn't random. It was remembrance. It was alignment. It was the divine saying, yes, now. And as you walk forward, you don't need all the answers. You just need the willingness to trust the knowing, the willingness to let the past stay behind, the willingness to show up for yourself like no one else ever did. Because the next season of your life doesn't require a mask. It requires a soul. If these words have stirred something ancient in you, mark this moment. Don't let it slip away like another message. Let it be the turning point. Comment the sacred number 1111 or 333 to seal this shift in spirit. Not for me, for you, for your remembrance, for your declaration, for your rising. And when the world gets heavy again, because it will, know that this space is always here. This is not just a video. This is a refuge, a return, a quiet light in the middle of the noise. Come back whenever you need to breathe, to remember, to be held in truth. You are not alone. You never were. And now, you rise.